What's up everyone, this is Scher talking and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'll be doing a review for the GLEX banner that brings Katarina, Emerald and Therese in summer styles. Let me tell you, I don't think this is the best banner. If you are a new player, you want to get a token because he's a buffer and buffers are very important in this game. But without further ado, let's talk about these characters because they also have something to offer. First of all, I'm gonna go to rsrstv.com to check Katarina. So here we are, we have 10 different versions of Katarina. Yeah, it's just too much that I can't even appear on the screen. The last one is the GLEX one. This one here, it's an escort mission. And we have the first being platinum. This was platinum, the first limited style on New Year, then a platinum one again, then this one was limited, this A version is limited too, then we got the UDX Katarina, and now the summer Katarina. This other one here is a welfare that we will get in the event. So I think we should compare the summer one with the UDX. They are the most recent ones, and as you can see, we have higher STR, we have higher endurance, similar dexterity, inferior agility, but higher will, love and charisma. Most of the status are higher. So let's click here and we have only one arrow for STR and double arrows for will. These are the focus here, and let me tell you, we don't have double arrows for STR, but you can find that in different versions of her. Like we can find double arrows for the welfare style, we can find also double arrows for STR in this platinum style, so you can find alternatives when farming status. So her endurance and will are actually pretty good. She's a self-sustainable character, so taking less damage from both physical and magical really helps. Then we should talk about the skills first. Let's go back into the game. So the first attack we have is Healing Blade. This one is a free attack because it can reduce to 0 and it heals for around 160 or so. Katarina loves to heal and this is just a part of her kit. The damage is pretty similar to normal attack, but the important thing is to sustain. Okay, the second attack is called Waterfall Blade. This is an 6 BP A power attack that's an amplify over a very old skill that uses slash and cold damage in a column. There are a lot of things to say about this column attack. First of all, right now in the game we don't have much need. You hardly find enemies aligned in a row, but in JP they changed the meta to have a lot of events with enemies aligned in a row and in a column, so they released stronger attacks for those so that you can have bigger damage. Instead of just using AoE attacks, you can choose to use row or column attacks and they will have higher damage output for the same BP cost. This is already a sign, but I can tell you that this is the first step into the future. We'll get even 8 BP attacks that do column damage with double S power. Oh yeah, but you cannot use them twice in a row, so this one can be used twice in a row with a lower power. So good now, but nothing special, better in the future. Then the last attack is Crashing Wave Flash. This one is a fast attack, but a pretty odd one. It hits for a row now instead of a column. It's slashing cold as well. The power is S. And when the attack hits, it grants defense down. It's a small effect. In level 99, you will decrease the resistance of an enemy by 15%. So it's just like you cast morale up to your characters, you increase the damage of your characters. By casting defense down, you increase the final damage. It's not bad per se, but roll fast is pretty rare. The bad thing with roll attacks is that the enemies have to be aligned exactly on the right position so that when you are doing this on auto, it hits the right enemy and spreads the damage, and then someone else will go and do more damage. And because she can do this on turn 1 and then on turn 3, it doesn't help much. Farming events usually have only 2 waves, and then she would not be able to use anything after this attack. So it's a pretty odd one, not much useful today, and even in the future we have some limitations. So I don't really like it, to be honest. Back to the passives, we have the first one called Watermelon Crusher. When she attacks with any attack, even inheritance, especially inheritances, she has a 50% chance to chase with an attack called Watermelon Cut. This attack is no. We found it before in the summer style of Final Impress. Watermelon Cut is not powerful per se. It's only E power, a little higher than a normal attack, but it heals HP for around 700, and it's very good to use with this character since you can just keep healing and eventually just be on full HP almost all the time. So nice, we have this now as a chase mechanic. It cannot go further than rank number 1, but the heal should be still very close to 700. So when you use Healing Blade, you have a 50% chance of healing for around 900 already. And the inheritances is pretty important here, and I'll talk more about this later. The next passive is Iron Wall Defense 6, and this is like the best tank passive we have right now, found in other characters like Mariah. Mariah is very strong. She can decrease the damage by a lot. Iron Wall Defense, as you can see. Another character that has this is Virgil. Virgil also has it. As you see, she already has good endurance and wheels, so Iron Wall Defense just helps her survive better. Then the last passive is called Fired Up 6, increasing damage by 30%. Fired Up 6 Advent helps increase the damage of characters with a lot of different effects, so they can give you more volleys and also keep one damage passive to increase the power. So, Watermelon Crusher is something that gives her sustain for long fights, so that she does not need to be healed. And it actually benefits of UDX Katarina inheritance. Why? Because she has an attack called Alarm. For 7 BP, you have 2 hits. The first one is E power, so very similar to a normal attack again. But then you have Moulin Rouge S power. And she has 50% chance to trigger the passive in both hits. But there is just one problem. She cannot use this twice in a row, because it's 7 BP, meaning that you cannot use on turn 2. But it's an interesting mechanic for long fights. I guess that you can just keep using Healing Blade for a while, and then you can use Alarm if you have it. She's not exactly the best damage dealer you can find. She does not buff her own STR. She relies more on buffers than other self-sustainable damage dealers. But I can see some use here, but without inheritance, she seems pretty limited. You can find inheritance with her Welfare style. Welfare has a column attack, so that she can use column 3 times in a row by just use of Waterfall Blade 2 times and then split. That's what you can do. You can also use Marvelous Slash 2 times in a row, and that's it. Actually, if you want to use Will Swing Plus, you're better using the Welfare units altogether, because it may even do more damage. Besides that, I don't think there's many inheritances that matter. The future version of Katarina in JP is more of a debuffer. As you can see, she has 84% intelligence, even a little higher STR, but the most important thing is that she gets STR and agility on the start of a turn, and when she attacks, she gets more STR and more intelligence, so that she can keep attacking. She also gets 1 BP, so her cycles are better, and she keeps buffing herself for better debuffs and better damage. That's something that you would not find on this one. This one is more of a self-sustainable character for fights where you take too much damage, and heal is an option to survive. Oh, and if you don't have Alarm from her UDX style, in the future you can get Swallow Return Plus by Amplify over this Platinum style. It's a triple S power attack with 59 mod. It's actually not bad, and you can cycle between Healing Blade and Swallow Return every time that you want on full auto cycle. So there are some interesting ideas in this version of Katarina, but especially getting access to Alarm make her much better. But can Katarina kill her targets? She's not the best damage dealer, and will she offer enough for you to choose Katarina over other sustained characters like Mariah or someone else? I don't know. Because of the characters that we have in the tier list right now, I'll be giving Katarina a low SS grade, borderline S tier, because of being too reliant on RNG and in inheritance to perform on premium levels. Oh, and one last thing about Katarina. If you are summoning for iToken, you should know that iToken combos well this Katarina, because he buffs love and STR, 2 things that she needs. If she gets more love, she heals more, and when she gets STR, she deals more damage, so they will work well together, especially if you have Alarm as inheritance. And the next character is Emerald, and she's really a nice surprise. We have 4 different versions of her. The very first 2 ones are Platinum, then we had a welfare one, and now the very first premium style. It's worthless to compare the things, so let's go directly into the information. She has double arrows for agility, 1 arrow for intelligence, and a focus on bolts and bonuses too. Her endurance is not that bad for a mage, but because she needs it, we have 90% will as well, so those are the most important status. She even has an average charisma with bad love. Now back in the game, let's check the attacks. The first one is Peach Cocktail, a free skill that's an amplify over an node one. This is fast and gives 2 buffs, morale up and guard up of 35%. This is super nice because sometimes we bring Flamenco Barbara to buff morale up by 50%, but you don't have guard up. So if you have a character like Fornews or like Acelus or older ones that need to take damage to counter, now you have 2 things. You can increase the damage and increase the resistance. Because it's fast, it will go before all enemies attack. It is free, there's no cost, no LP, no BP. Very good. The second skill is Firestorm, and I will not even waste my time here because it comes unamplified, and you need to amplify to take full advantage of Emerald. Then the third attack is Tropical Fish. This is an attack with double elements, sun and heat, and it's sea power, 2 hits with a chance to debuff agility by small effect, that means 15% on max with each hit. So you can reach as much as 30% agility debuff right from the start. This is amazing because you can use this again on turn 3, so you have a very good head start against enemies that have high agility. Tropical Fish is nice also because of double elements, so more chances of hitting a weakness. And she works well in formations that you already use, Halloween Princess White Rose, because they both will be doing sun damage. Now let's talk about passives. The first one, Fury Passion. Every time that she's directly attacked, only direct attacks, she will always counter attacks with Firestorm Plus. This is actually pretty interesting because, well, Firestorm was originally a sea power attack with 9 BP. Yeah, too old. But we just got the Amplify. It became a 6 BP attack that you have to use Amplify badges to amplify, and it has a chance to debuff agility. AoE agility debuff with sea power hit damage. It's already nice as an attack. As a counter, it has a restriction of being rank 1, but she will debuff 10% agility of all targets if she manages to hit with her intelligence. When you counter, it's a guarantee to hit. You just have to have high enough intelligence to land the debuff. When you have like 3, 4, 5 enemies, and if you can keep triggering Firestorm Plus, you will evade if you are bringing other characters that can evade. But only if they use direct attacks. It's a very restricted strategy, but also a very unique one. This is an interesting setup because the buffing agility decreases the accuracy of spells from your enemies, allowing you to evade, and also decreases the damage and accuracy from martial arts attacks, allowing you to evade or receive less damage. Maybe very important in some specific scenarios in the future. The second passive is Torrent of Magic. On the start of a turn, and every turn she increases her intelligence by 20% and gets a defense boost stance for 1 turn. This is the same thing that you can find in characters like Barthélemy. This version of Barthélemy has it, and Apollo has one that's even better. And these characters are made for boss fights, so his version is even better because it's very large effect, so he decreases damage even further. But they are largely similar. Then the last passive is Hyper Overtension. She gets 20% increase in damage at all times, then 35% on combo and 50% on overdrive. But why does she have this passive? Because counter units being hit all the time, you get to overdrive faster than other characters. So we can decide to wait and use overdrive with your Tropical Fish or even Firestorm. I guess that she has a very clean design. They give you a very high risk with a very high payoff. Taking physical hits with Emerald may hurt, but she does have a passive that decreases damage. And when she counters, she will allow you to debuff everyone's agility. And when she gets too many hits, she can go for overdrive and do more damage. If you want to use her for agility debuff, she can help in some very specific stages where the enemy agility is super high by debuffing it 2 times with Tropical Fish right on start. It's a very nice value. If you want to use her for farming, you can use Firestorm Plus twice in a row, and then you can inherit Hit Wind from her Welfare style, or amplify Fireball so you have Fireball Plus to use it forever. There are plenty of different setups, and when you are not debuffing agility, let's say you start the fight, you use Tropical Fish, the second turn you can just buff someone, and then on the third turn you use Tropical Fish again. So she does not need to use normal attack. This one is free. And you can just use also Firestorm, and when you don't have VP, you use Beach Cocktail. Anything works. Emerald is an niche character, I have to say, but she still works for farming if you're missing out on fire damage. She works well in boss fights even if you don't want to take advantage of Fury Passion. And if it triggers, you are in for some good damage and agility debuff. I suspect she will be useful in very hard challenges in the future. Not a mandatory character, but just so fun to use, and someone that I will be pulling for. I think she's gonna receive a medium grade in a double S tier list, just because she has a very unique setup, and characters like this don't stop being useful so easily. Emerald has 2 future styles in JP. There's this one here, and this other one here. This one is premium, let's talk about it. You will find her in a future banner alongside some other styles like the Future Rock Bouquet, the Martial Artist Fairy, and Future Minerva. She is a character for damage, as you can see here. She also increases heat damage and weak attacks. She has attacks that are just based on spells, so you get some other things like this Disturbed Fireball that hits between 1 to 6 times, and a powerful AoE attack as well. There is the future version, this one, that is actually free, and it uses Happiers. It's different. As you see here, it's a free style. She gets access to Surf Cyclone. This is a fast attack with the chance to stun, and she will be stunning well, but this style is pretty far in the future. She can also heal and debuff intelligence with this style. So yeah, she does have a future. If you plan to use her, just note that. And the last character is Therese. We have 3 versions of Therese in the game. The first one is a Platinum, the second one is a SaGa Soul exclusive, but she's returning next week because they want to sell this Therese. Okay, so the last one, You're My Prey today, we have higher status for everything, like higher endurance, higher dexterity, 10% more, we have a higher agility, intelligence does not matter, higher will, similar love, and a little lower charisma. Well, this Therese has bonuses for dexterity and will, but 1 arrow for agility and double arrows for will, because the other styles will give you the remaining arrows. So like we have double arrows for the Platinum and double arrows for the SaGa Soul exclusive. Now let's get back into the game. We're gonna check all the skill animations. The first one is Solar Arrow Plus. We just saw this attack in SaGa. This is an amplify over an old skill, and it's actually super strong, C power with only 2 BP, and it buffs dexterity with 2 elements, Pierce and Sun. So very nice. The second one is called Rapid Fire. This one she's stealing from a past version of Sarah. It's double attack, Rapid Fire, it's a D power attack that hits roll. She attacks 2 times a roll, and each time she buffs dexterity. So this attack is different than some other ones that don't trigger passives more than once. This one will trigger her passive twice, but more into that later. And buffing dexterity 2 times, she gets increased damage on the second hit. In the end, you buff it yourself for 50% dexterity. That's also pretty nice. Then the last attack is Double Phoenix Arrow. This attack is super powerful. We had it in the past with a version of Sarah. For 9 BP, it's a pierce and heat attack that heals. But Therese says, no, I want to do it twice. For the same cost, she do it twice. It's comparable to what you do with Double Dark Blade, but Double Dark Blade is 12 BP. Just for the damage part is already similar, but then she also heals medium effect, that should come close to 800 or something, or even higher, meaning that she heals herself to full HP easily. there is just one catch. In order to do this, she debuffs herself. That should be 25% decrease in her dexterity by performing this skill. But guys, let's talk about this now. We had characters in the past that can do big damage, like Luna Fulgur from the limited Mei-Ling from 1.5 anniversary, but she uses 6 BP, it's less, and she loses 80% of her HP, getting close to death because of that. You only have here 25% debuff as a penalty. It's not a huge problem. It's actually something that does not matter in the long run, and I'll explain because of her passives. Healing herself 2 times as well, it's super nice. But in order to fully understand the potential of Double Phoenix Arrow, let's give a look into her passives. First one, Breath of Invigoration. When she lands an attack, she recovers her HP by around 170 because of this charisma, and also her BP by 1. This is amazing. Let me explain. When you use Double Phoenix Arrow, you will trigger this twice. Why? Because this skill does not have that information where it says that it triggered only once. It will trigger twice. So she gets back 2 BP, heals even more. So you will always have full HP, unless your enemy is debuffing your love or charisma all the time. Like, yeah, Abyss Naga. And then the second passive is called Hunter's Power. On the start of a turn, she increases her dexterity by 15% and also grants herself a defense boost. This is similar to what we just saw with Emerald and Apollo and Barthélemy and also Iskander. These characters have similar passives, and these are some of the best ones for long fights because it decreases damage all the time while also stacking your main status. Then the last one is Fired Up 6 and attack increases by 30%. So what we have here, BP and HP heal when attacking. On the start of a turn, we get a dexterity buff of 15% and also a defense boost, and damage increases at all time by 30%. So now, because of Breath of Invigoration, her skills have much better cycles. Rapid Fire, when you use it, you recover 2 BP, so you essentially only use it 6. Double Phoenix Arrow will return 2 BP, meaning that you essentially only use it 7. Remember Mei-Ling using 6 for double S power, losing an HP? Well, now Therese does it much better with double elements as well, without having to die all the time. She's actually healing to survive better. So there's only one thing here that I wish it was different. You can open the fight with Double Phoenix Arrow, and then you can use Solar Arrow Plus on the second turn, and then you still have 8 BP on turn 3, so she's only missing 1 to use this again. If you have someone that can buff 1 BP, she's gonna use Double Phoenix Arrow, Solar Arrow, and then Double Phoenix Arrow. That is on auto setups. She can do it easily. Just leave Rapid Fire on 9. This is a very good setup for farming, and in a boss fight I can even suggest you doing something different, like use Solar Arrow plus 3 times or 4 times in a row, and then save enough to use Double Phoenix Arrow twice. The damage will be insane. Save at least 1 overdrive to use to kill the enemy. So Rapid Fire is not exactly a AoE attack, it's just a row attack, so it will be more useful in the future. Right now it's not much, so she's actually more of a single target damage dealer for most people and in most content. You can also get inheritance by looking on the SaGa soul style. We have Barrage Shot. If there is only 1 wave, it's gonna do similar damage, but she has much higher agility. You will be attacking the enemies before, and you can get 1 BP back. That's nice, better than this style. And there's also Searing Rapid Volley. If you want to do full AoE cycles, the damage is not so high, but there's 2 elements and you can use it all the time. Or if you don't have the style or don't plan on summoning, you can just go to the A style and amplify Rapid Volley so that it becomes Rapid Volley Plus, and she will always be able to use it because it's only 4. But to be honest, forget about inheritance. Forget about Amplify. You don't need, because this Therese is the whole package. She is made for a single target, and she will shine on this. She will be able to farm, to fight against bosses in sustain fights, in damage rush fights, and will fit well in veterans and newbie setups. She may be the best character of the bunch. It's the easiest one to use and works for everyone. There's no future style of Therese and JP, but you don't need. She's already strong as she is. she will be receiving a high SS grade in our tier list for being such a good damage dealer. Back to the banner image. Is this banner worth summoning for? Well, kinda. It depends on what you're missing out. I have Therese as a very premium pierce damage dealer that will fit most squads. If you have Alarm, there's more reason to summon for this banner. If you do get Katarina and you don't have Alarm, don't worry, she'll get better in the future when she gets an Amplify. And Emerald may be a joker card for some very specific challenges. I think this banner is much better than the past Global X Azami banner. We have more utility and better design here. But this banner is still not better than iToken banner. Buffers are the hardest type of characters in this game, and you should not miss out on another chance to get a buffer to help out in the future. He's also a club user that buffs, so he's gonna help a lot in the future when we get the simulation where you are locked into using only one weapon type in a challenge, and you are rewarded by finishing all stages. So this banner will be receiving a silver award. I will be pulling for it because I want these new styles, but some people can skip if you don't feel like doing hard challenges, or if you're already safe and happy with your pierce damage dealers, you can just skip if you want. But that's my opinion. What is yours? Please say here in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you still haven't, and if you want to support the channel, please click the link on the description of the video. I hope to see you soon in the next one. Bye.